Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold. It's Friday. It's end of a pretty crazy week. We got plenty of news to go through. Full disclosure, it's Catholic Schools Week. My kids are getting out of school at 1 p.m. Eastern, so I am recording the show about an hour and a half earlier than normal. So it's 11:30-ish Eastern here. And I just felt like you guys should know that. So if there's any breaking news, like during the show or anything from, I think Carolyn Levitt is doing a hearing or a press briefing today. So I won't be caught up with that, but we shouldn't be too far behind. And like I said, plenty to go through. We're going to talk about the aviation stuff. We're going to talk about some of the things Trump has been doing and more headlines, less presidential actions today, because there really has only been one presidential action in the last 24 hours. So we'll get through all of it. Let's start things off with a quick word from our sponsors of today's show.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed, because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Awesome. Thank you to MyPillow for supporting the network and the show. I'll get to my second sponsor here a little bit later. Let's start things off with, I guess I would say, the biggest story, at least the most talked about story the last 48 hours, whatever it's been, and that's the airplane crash. So much clickbait, and it's driving me nuts. So many decodes, all these things. I understand that things can be faked, that people will use mass trauma events to push agendas or whatever. I still also believe, though, that tragedies and accidents do happen. Not everything can be fake. That's a weird utopia where there is no bad things that happen, and anything that is bad is just faked. And I don't know. We're getting more information. Trump has been talking about it. We talked about the press briefing yesterday. A little more details has come out, and some new video angles have come out. Some have raised more questions. Some, I don't know. It's we'll go through it right now. This is from I don't even know who this is. The Post Millennial. Blackhawk helicopter was flying too high, clearly, half a mile off predetermined route when it crashed with American Airlines flight mid-air. It was, I think Trump said it was above like by 200 feet or something. These are just preliminary numbers. I saw that about 41 or 40 people have been recovered. The body's been recovered. And I mean, they're looking for 60 some. So we'll see what happens. But 4 people briefed on the matter told the New York Times that the helicopter was supposed to be flying lower to the ground and in a different location as it flew around the busy airport. The helicopter pilot had asked air traffic control for permission to use Route 4 at Reagan, a specific predetermined route on the Potomac that lets helicopters fly no higher than 200 feet and hugs the east side of the river. The route would have let the helicopter avoid the flight. I do think it's kind of ridiculous that they're having these flights while planes are landing in the first place. I don't know. This will all be addressed, but I do want to show you guys the images or the new videos that were obtained by CNN showing close-ups of what went down here. Let me change my layout a little bit. Okay, here we go.
These videos, obtained exclusively by CNN, show previously unseen angles of the collision between an American Airlines flight and a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. In the first video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water. These videos...
Yeah. So that's probably as far into this as I'm going to go. I'm still waiting on more information. I'm not ready to jump and say it was faked. I'm not looking for the conspiracies around it. Just kind of soaking it all in. But not everybody's doing that. A lot of people are looking for that clickbait money. That's sweet, sweet Twitter cash. And this is one of the stories that circulated yesterday. Meet Joe Ellis, the transgender chief warrant officer, a UH-60 Blackhawk pilot who crashed the military helicopter, taking 66 lives with her after colliding with an American Airlines. I wondered why President Trump was blaming DEI, but I knew he had been briefed on something. This was everywhere. This is just the first post that I saw that was showing it. But a lot of clickbait artists on Twitter were going with this narrative. It's already been debunked as of now. She posted a video on Facebook saying, yeah, I wasn't the pilot. And there's been pretty good, like she was an entirely different unit, all these things. But it's the irresponsible nature that people are using with this stuff. I don't believe everything is a conspiracy. People need to be more careful with careful and responsible with their information that they're pushing out there. I know I'm not perfect at it either. I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to jump to conclusions sometimes. Stuff like this, you got to be extra careful, in my opinion. But anyway, this led to Trump doing some executive actions. The only executive action we got, actually. But if you remember back to January 21st, one of the things he put out was this: the keeping Americans safe in aviation. And I mean, it addressed the DEI stuff within aviation, and this was a good first step. But then he came out again and did another one. We talked about it yesterday, how Trump went through at this press conference, all these decisions made by the Biden administration to allow for DEI hiring at the FAA. And this is what he said yesterday. Again, the only thing that was put out yesterday. On my second day in office, I ordered an immediate return to merit-based recruitment, hiring, and promotion, elevating safety and ability as the paramount standard. Yesterday's devastating accident tragically underscores the need to elevate safety and competence as the priority at the FAA. Consistent with Presidential Memorandum of January 21st, I'm further ordering the Secretary of Transportation and the Administrator of the FAA to review all hiring decisions and changes to safety protocols made during the prior 4 years, and to take such corrective action as necessary to achieve uncompromised aviation safety, including the replacement of any individuals who do not meet qualification standards. This review shall include a systemic assessment of any deterioration in hiring standards and aviation safety standards and protocols during the Biden administration. So they're basically going to look to reverse any other actions that were taken. But yeah, everybody's trying to capitalize on this. Obviously, Trump, you just implemented a very, anti-DEA agenda in the very early days of your presidency, like going through all of government and getting rid of all the woke stuff. So obviously you're going to come out as a salesman and as a politician now. I don't know, like right before the show, my voice started going. But anyway, you're going to come out and you're going to use it to push your agenda further. You're going to use it to further underscore the importance of your agenda. You're going to capitalize on it. And the other side is going to do the same thing. They're promoting. Oh, I don't even think I have the tweet up, but let me see if I can find it. They're promoting the story that Trump's hiring freeze is what led to this incident. I think it was Jasmine Crockett, excuse me, who she got community noted pretty hard. But she had a post about, Trump's hiring freeze or whatever, funding freeze at the FAA is what led to this. Yeah, I'm not even going to search for it. It's going to take forever. But it's already been community noted. It's been debunked. The FAA, the funds there that was they were exempt from it. So the funding freeze, the hiring freeze, it had nothing to do with what went on at the FAA. So gonna be a lot more clickbait with this as we go. Just have to bear through it. Yeah, like I said, no other presidential actions have been updated, but maybe by the end of the show, we'll see. There's a few rumors out there floating around about some orders that might be coming through today, but I don't think we'll talk about them until Monday, until we see what happens. But anyway, I'm loving what Trump is doing with the school choice. I've been talking, as I've said in the last couple of days, I've been talking to my former boss, the private school director here in town where my kids go. My dad works. I used to work there. And we've been talking a lot about the school choice bill because the state legislature here in North Dakota specifically they've been talking about some form of school choice, but anytime push comes to shove, they don't actually go through with it. And I think it was actually in 2023, they pushed through a bill that would have been a form of school choice, not all the way there. And then it got vetoed by Burgum and it withstood it and ended up not coming through. So I've been paying very close attention to what Trump is going to do with school choice. And if you truly think about it, free public education is the most socialistic institution we have in this country. It's one of the 10 core tenets or whatever of the Communist Manifesto. I can show you that here. Free education for all children in public schools. Abolition of children's factory labor in its present form. Combination of education with industrial production. This is from the Communist Manifesto. And even digging into the history of it, when did we start paying for education? When did we start providing free education? It was after the Civil War. Like there were some instances in certain states, I think Massachusetts had one going back to even like the 1600s where they used some forms of tax to help fund some form of education. But the discussions of actually free education for the public, for everybody, was after the Civil War. And I think it was African Americans who were pushing for it. And we went with it. And it's evolved and it's gotten so gross and so dirty, how much money and these unions that keep it alive. And it's terrible. But free education is a socialistic ideology. And if public funding is going towards education, it should be going towards the kids, not the institutions. It should follow the people receiving the education so they have some choice over where to go. And it should not just be directly funding the institutions. And here in North Dakota, Governor Armstrong, he talks a big game. He says that in his budget request or budget proposal, state of the state, they call it. He talked about how school choices is one of the tenets. They're going to provide funding for an ESA, educational savings account, to follow the kids. But in his actual budget, nothing was in there. And what the unions here want and what the public groups want is, okay, yeah, let's do an ESA, but it's for stuff that's loosely attached to school, surrounding schools, like extracurricular activities and certain tutoring programs and all these things. For whatever reason, they don't want any funding to touch the private schools. And I think that's wrong. A true school choice program using public funds to do it would follow the kids no matter where they wanted to go. If they want to go to a private school, great. They'll go to the private school. Will the private schools be more expensive? Maybe. I don't know. Here locally, I don't know if it would. The cost to educate a kid is lower than it is at the public schools. But this debate that is being put forward by Trump by pushing this executive order is such a good start. And the fact that they continue to promote it. We'll go back to the story here. Exclusive White House roundtable to highlight school choice with top GOP governors. President Donald Trump wants parents throughout the nation to be empowered to direct their children's education. The White House will host a Friday roundtable on school choice with top Republican governors amid sweeping victories on the issue across the country. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who spearheaded a major victory for school choice in her state after taking office, will moderate the National School Choice Week roundtable at noon on Friday, according to a White House official. Also at the table will be Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee, where the legislature just passed a universal school choice bill, and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas, where school choice legislation is also expected to pass. White House is excited to honor National School Choice Week with this roundtable. Senior White House official told the Daily Wire, President Donald Trump wants parents throughout the nation to be empowered to direct their children's education. Universal school choice policy is a policy that gives parents access to public money to use towards a wide range of education options for their children, including private schools. Currently 3 major bills. Yeah, we can stop here. So I'm very curious to see, and this is, like I said, an issue that hits close to home for me, because I'm concerned, based on my conversations with some people, that North Dakota is kind of putting on a show. They're talking a big game. They're pretending to be pro school choice, but they're not going to actually follow what Trump is actually promoting here. But this needs to be something that is implemented across the country. We've seen what has happened to our education system, especially over the last like 10 to 20 years, with all the woke stuff that's put in there. When you so closely attach to government funding and don't, I don't know, the Department of Education itself needs to be totally abolished. And that's what Thomas Massie actually is putting forth a bill. I just reintroduced H.R. 899, a one-sentence bill to terminate the Federal Department of Education and return power back to teachers and parents. This is the entire bill. The Department of Education shall terminate on December 31st, 2026. And I even commented under it, the only thing I would change is the date, moving it to December 31st, 2025. But I would love to see this actually happen. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about some of the cabinet nominations. So far, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Burgum got put in yesterday. Lee Zeldin, EPA administrator, got confirmed. Duffy was 2 days ago. It's a pretty slow pace of confirmations. I'm pretty sure Obama was well ahead of this by January 30th. I'm trying to see. I saw a post. I think it was Rick Scott, maybe, talking about this. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, yeah, right here.
They hated the Trump one. They don't want a changing government. They like this, big government, no accountability, help the Democrats in government. And Trump is picking people that are going to completely change the apple cart. They're upset the apple cart. They're going to go in there and they're going to create transparency. They're going to start telling us what's going on. They're going to create accountability. I'm excited.
He says in the post here, Obama had 22 nominations confirmed by this time in his administration. Trump has 8. And if you're watching these hearings, these hearings are supposed to be about advice and consent. You're questioning the candidates, and if you're from the opposite party, you're gonna be harsh on them. If you're from the same party as the president who nominated them, you're gonna be friendly to them. You're gonna want to push them through. But there's no actual questions being asked about policy stuff. They're not actually trying to get to the bottom of whether or not this person is going to be a good FBI director or director of the national intelligence with Tulsi Gabbard. No, they're trying to do gotcha questions. Yesterday, they were trying to get Kash Patel to perjure himself by having him comment on grand jury subpoena discussions and testimony. And it's all smears. It's a clown show. That's what it's become. And for people paying attention, I know our side is paying attention, especially our little community. I mean, our coverage of this stuff has been pretty well watched. We've had a lot of viewers on this coverage. People are excited and curious and love these hearings. It's political theater. But people from the left or even normies or people who aren't paying attention, I wish they would. I hope they watch this stuff, because watching how the left engages in these, they can't be taken seriously as a political party. Not when you are being non-serious in these political situations. The whole thing's a joke. But there was some good clips that have come out of it. We got this was yesterday. So RFK Jr. came back for his second hearing, and he gets into a back and forth with Bernie Sanders and totally calls him out on his hypocrisy here. Check this out.
Will you guarantee do what every other major country does? It's a simple question.
And by the way, Bernie, The problem of corruption is not just in the federal agencies, it's in Congress too. Almost all the members of this panel are accepting, including yourself, are accepting millions of dollars from the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh,
Protecting their interests.
Oh, I thought that would, no. I ran for president like you. I got millions and millions of contributions. They did not come from the executives, not one nickel of PAC money from the pharmaceutical industry. They came from workers.
In 2020, you were the single largest
Because I had
receiver of
small
pharmaceutical money.
contributions from workers all over this country. Workers,
You were the
this not a nickel from corporate
Bernie,
tax.
you were the single largest acceptor of pharmaceutical dollars.
No, from workers in the industry.
1.5 million.
Yeah, out of 200 million. All right, but you have not answered, last question. You have not answered my question.
Mr.
How the
Chairman,
heck
we're
do
3
we make
minutes.
question.
How do we make America healthy if you don't guarantee
Chairman,
health care
we're
to all
literally
people?
3 minutes over here now.
Well, so are other
How long
people.
does it keep going? At some time, you're just battering the witness,
Not
Bernie.
battering the witnesses. I'm
Yes,
trying
you
to get
are.
an
And
answer.
you're getting upset at him. You're going at him just like anybody else.
It is interesting how Bernie said like it was just 1.5 million out of 200 million. Like that's going to be that's a good thing. Insane. But I love how RFK Jr. is pushing back here. All the candidates did so good yesterday. Tulsi, Kash, RFK Jr. Very interesting to watch these play out. But I am very curious to see if these get through. Very, very curious to see which ones get through. But we'll see. Hopefully we'll have some answers to that over the weekend. This was yesterday as well. This news broke. Trump is apparently telling senior FBI ranks to resign or be fired. And Kash Patel, President Donald Trump's choice to be the director of the FBI, claims he was unaware of the decision prior to the ultimatum. And so the timing of this is pretty interesting, Trump doing this, and I'll explain why in a second. The Trump administration has told top officials at the FBI to resign or lose their jobs. The exact number has not been disclosed, but the ultimatum was allegedly given to senior employees promoted under former director Christopher Wray. President Trump's administration took these steps as his nominee to lead the Bureau, Kash Patel, said he would not begin his tenure with retribution or focus on past transgressions. I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken, Patel said at the Senate Judiciary Committee. I think the CNN story might have even had a number. At least six senior FBI leaders have been ordered to retire, resign, or be fired. And I think I even saw elsewhere that there was a large number than that. The reason I think the timing of this is great is because it kind of gives Kash Patel some narrative shielding. He's not the director yet. He was unaware, whether that's true or not, who knows. You have to think these people know who the bad eggs are within these agencies. The good eggs have probably ratted them out by now. They know who the good eggs are. So it makes total sense if you don't want it to look political with Kash Patel in there, and you don't want him to have to take what looks to be political, retribution steps by firing the bad eggs, you do it before he gets in there. Makes total sense. I wonder if we're going to see more. And I wonder if we'll see some of this at other agencies too. But really the FBI, that's probably the one that would make waves, the FBI, the DOJ, places like that, because that's what they've been threatening Donald Trump of doing for 2 years, 3 years. If Donald Trump gets back in there, he's going to weaponize the intel agencies and the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. So yeah, if you're going to clear it out and you're going to do anything that appears political, you're probably going to do it before your pick actually gets in there. Let's go to this story. We won't spend too much time on this, but got to talk about it. They're already writing, sappy stories about why we need to continue funding things around the world. How the world is reeling from Trump's aid freeze. President Trump's order to halt most foreign aid has intensified humanitarian crises and raised questions about the United States' reliability as a global leader. In famine-stricken Sudan, soup kitchens that feed hundreds of thousands of civilians trapped in a war zone have shut down. In Thailand, war refugees with life-threatening diseases have been turned away by hospitals and carted off in makeshift stretchers. All this is BS, by the way. In Ukraine, residents on the front line of the war with Russia may be going without firewood in the middle of winter. They can't chop their own trees down. Some of the world's most vulnerable populations are already feeling President Trump's sudden cutoff of billions of dollars in American aid that helps fend off starvation, treats diseases, and provides shelter for the displaced. In a matter of days, Mr. Trump's, they call him Mr. Trump and not even president? Man, these people. Mr. Trump's order to freeze nearly all U.S. foreign aid has intensified humanitarian crises and raised profound questions about America's reliability and global standing. Everybody's freaking out. I think there's one more line here. After the American money was frozen last week, some of the aid groups that channeled those funds to the food kitchen said they were unsure if they were allowed to continue. Others cut off the money completely. Now, 434 of the 634 volunteer kitchens in the Capitol was shut down, Mr. Kuka said. And more are going out of service every day. My questions right off the bat are, how immediate was this funding? Were we sending money daily? Were we filling their Venmos with money every day? And so as soon as this order goes through, all of a sudden they run out of funds and they have to shut everything down immediately? I can't imagine that's how it works. Most of this stuff is done on an annual basis or at least monthly. And so they send it out every month. You use it for the month. And then or annually. You have an annual budget and what you're going to use it for. So for it to shut down immediately, again, totally BS story in the first place. But just walking through the logic of it, they should still be able to continue to do this until the actual funds run out. The funds don't run out in 2 days. That makes no sense. But again, they're trying to build this narrative that, we need to continue the foreign aid spending in perpetuity. And we absolutely do not. We should not, as a country, be giving money to any other country, period. Full stop. I would maybe be open to considering the idea if we had a surplus. You know what I mean? I'd be open to that. But even then, no, let's not do that. Money going overseas should be done only through NGOs if people choose to do it. And I'm not saying government funded NGOs. I'm saying if you, let's see who wrote this article. Swee Lee Wee, what the hell? It's the worst name of all time. Siwi Lee, Declan Walsh, Farnaz Fasihi. Okay. If you guys are so concerned about this issue, you take your money that you get to write propaganda and you send it to a charity that works with these issues. And this should be all over the place. The same thing should be said with foreign war efforts even. I'm not even okay with sending money overseas for our allies to fight wars. If you are that concerned and that much of a believer that we need to be helping Ukraine, then you take your money and you send it to a charity that you've researched that you think is going to support their cause. The United States does not need to be funding other countries around the world in any aspect. I know we're not going to get to a place where we fully stop everything. I think we're still sending money to Ukraine and Israel. I'm not even sure. But I would love to get to a place where we don't anymore. Spend that money here. Fix our problems here. If you and your neighbor's houses were on fire and burning down, you don't go help your neighbor's house. You try to put out the fire at your house first. Once you get your fire put out, then you can consider going to other places. And if you're the fire department, like we can't be going out and putting fires out all over the world when our firehouse is burning down itself. So you can expect more of these articles to come out. You're going to see, pictures of people struggling, kids dying, kids crying, all these things, like a Sarah McLachlan commercial in the arms of an angel playing in the background. They're just trying to pull at your emotions and try to paint Trump as a bad guy for doing this. But this is how it should be. It's common sense fiscal policy. And I hope it gets worse for them. Better for us. Like, we do not need to be spending money overseas, period. Real quick, we're at about the halfway mark-ish. So I'm going to play our next sponsor here.
Hey Badlanders, Patrick Gunnels here, inviting you to go to tulipblooms.shop for our epic buy one get one half off Valentine's Day sale. The castor blend will make your skin supple and soft. Rainfall with its aloe healing gel will do the exact same thing, plus add vitamins and minerals, and the creamy moisture, epic moisture. Creamy body butter is now buy one, get one half off. Check it out today. Not to mention epicminerals.net. Promo code Badlands. Buy one, get one half off Zeolite Extra Spray. Buy one, get one off Epic Minerals Wellness Extra Capsules. And buy one, get one half off Silver Extra with humic and fulvic acid spray. All of it right now. Buy one, get one half off. Do not forget. Promo code Badlands, 10% off. And every time you use that promo code, 25% of that sale goes directly into an account that pays Badlanders' salaries. Go to tulipblooms.shop, epicminerals.net. Promo code Badlands for both buy one, get one half off until Sunday at midnight. Get yours today.
Awesome. Thank you to Tulip Blooms for sponsoring. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you to those of you supporting our sponsors, because that's a great way to support us as well. Let's get into our next story here. Next kind of topic is some of the foreign relations stuff. Trump envoy to meet with Maduro as Rubio prepares Latin America trip. President Trump was talking to Richard Grenell. They met at the Oval Office yesterday, and he's going to Venezuela to meet with Nicolas Maduro. Keeping tabs on this. We've been talking about this on the Power Hour, especially the Saturday one, quite a bit. And this is ahead of Marco Rubio going down there. So curious to see how Trump approaches the situation. Rubio, longtime critic of negotiations with Maduro, now faces a delicate diplomatic challenge as the meeting raises concerns about a potential deal to deport Venezuelan migrants. The Trump administration recently suspended deportation protections for hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans, fueling speculation that Grenell's visit could involve discussions on repatriating deportees. Grenell is, I'm a huge fan of Grenell. Huge fan. He's so good at what he does. He's so well-spoken. He's so smart. He's been in so many different roles in the first Trump administration, and he's like his special envoy now. So he goes to all the most difficult places and does the talks. But he's got a great background in being an envoy. I think he was Germany, the ambassador to Germany, and then he was Serbia, Kosovo. He's had a stint as the acting DNI before Ratcliffe got in there. This guy is inner circle, and so anytime he gets sent somewhere, there's some interesting discussions to be had. So keeping tabs on this story. But in line with Marco Rubio and his little visit coming up to Latin America, Rubio went on with Megyn Kelly, and he had some interesting comments surrounding Greenland and the Panama Canal. I want to play this real quick.
There was a conference call between President Trump and the Danish Prime Minister. Apparently didn't go very well. It reportedly involved some sort of a meltdown on the Prime Minister's part. They don't want to give it up. So what options does that leave us? Because President Trump did not rule out economic or potentially military use.
Well, I think President Trump's, what he has said publicly is he wants to buy it. He wants to pay for it. And how we worked on something like that, how something like that is approached, obviously is probably done better in the appropriate forums. A lot of the stuff is done publicly, and it's not helpful because it puts the other side in a tough spot domestically. So those conversations are going to happen. But this is not a joke. Like what he is saying is pretty accurate. People don't talk about it for years. This is not about acquiring land for the purpose of acquiring land. This is in our national interest, and it needs to be solved. President Trump's put out there what he intends to do, which is to purchase it. I wasn't privy to that phone call, but I imagine the phone call went the way a lot of these phone calls go, and that is he just speaks bluntly and frankly with people. And ultimately, I think diplomacy in many cases works better when you're straightforward as opposed to using platitudes. And
totally agree with that. I operate the same way, being pretty straightforward. This was talking about acquiring Greenland, but I think later in this interview with Kelly, we're not going to get there, but they're talking about the Panama Canal as well and getting that back in some fashion. So he's going to Latin America. He might be going to Panama and talking with them about that situation. So keeping tabs on it. This is also ahead of this weekend. Trump is supposed to be putting in tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Trump aides hunt for 11th hour deal to dial back Canada-Mexico tariffs. President says he will decide tonight whether oil will be included in the levies. and this was yesterday. So we'll read through a little bit of this. President Trump's advisors, and again, I don't know if this is factual. Like, I'm pretty sure it's anonymous sourcing, but it's interesting that the story's out there, and it's a good reminder of what is coming up here with these tariffs. February 1st is the date, which is tomorrow. President Trump's advisors are considering several off-ramps to avoid enacting the universal tariffs on Mexico and Canada that he had pledged, according to people familiar with the matter, even as he reiterated Thursday that the tariffs are coming. So again, people familiar with the matter are saying this is, they're trying to find a way not to do it. But Trump just yesterday said, yeah, they're coming. They're coming Saturday, February 1st, like I said. The situation is fluid, and Trump still may go through with his vow to slap 25% across the board levies on imports from America's two largest trading partners. The president has consistently said he would do so by Saturday. But amid ongoing negotiations with Canada and Mexico, the administration appears undecided on whether to impose tariffs on all imports from those countries. The people familiar with the matter said, adding that the administration officials are preparing to opt for more targeted measures instead. Trump is still likely to announce some sort of trade action by Saturday, but it may only affect certain sectors, such as steel and aluminum. Trump may also include major exemptions, such as oil, and the tariffs could be issued using existing legal authorities instead of more novel approaches officials had previously floated. So curious to see what he does here. Being the pro-energy guy, he wants to, increase domestic oil. Is that something he does leave off or makes higher? Like, how is he going to address that? I am curious to see what he's going to do with that. But expect that tomorrow, the tariffs. So next theme here is having to do with the media. There's a few stories that I want to go through. First of all, Chuck Todd is departing NBC as the network undergoes changes. He announced Friday his last day at NBC News. His exit comes as NBC News and its sister network, MSNBC, covers a second Trump administration while facing major business and leadership changes. He says that he is pursuing several new projects, and I know none of us care, but stick with me. There's a theme here. He's retaining the rights of his podcast and said in his departure note that it will have a new home soon. He's an entrepreneur, blah, blah, blah. He's going to do the podcast game. He's going to come into our world. These people are realizing that the mainstream media is dying, and they think they can go and resurrect their careers as independent sources of truth. And you see this all over. But the thing is these people can't recover from the damage they have done while working for these propaganda outlets. I mean, I would argue that these people have committed crimes by pushing the propaganda. Nothing what they were doing at these places can be described as actual journalism. Yet they call themselves journalism. So the whole thing's a circle jerk. But the same thing as Acosta. Acosta just left CNN and he started his own Substack show, the Jim Acosta Show. And I don't know if that's his actual logo, but if it is, that's kind of nuts. Isn't that some sort of communist type fist logo thing? Like if that pen was a hammer and sickle, would it be? Anyway, but listen to this. He had Norm Eisen on apparently, and I don't know if we'll listen to this whole thing, but this is his new show on Substack, and the video is pretty funny.
Up at the top of your screen.
Yeah, I see that. I've got to work on my set behind me is one of the issues.
Well, that's part of the charm of Substack, Jim. There we go. Now we're live. Now it's working. All the friends are coming back.
The eagle has landed. There are some children's books behind you. And
there are.
I see some good ones back there. So that's great.
Children's and adults.
Children of all ages.
I got to ask you, since we're just inviting everybody to join us, how does it feel?
It feels really good. And, obviously, Norm, we love the people at CNN, and I miss them. I will miss them terribly. And so, listen, we're going to get through this time. And I think it's important for people to know.
Yeah, I'm not going to subject us to the full thing of that, but it's funny how seriously, they're taking themselves. I don't see how these people recover. I just don't. They'll have their following. I'm sure they'll still get some sort of actual funding that we'd never have access to because we've been speaking the truth for the past 4 years. But it's just funny to watch this happen. And I expect more people to come from some of these leftist outlets and try to venture into this space and become like the Joe Rogans and the Tucker Carlsons. It's the Tucker Carlson model, right? Come from the mainstream media, starting your own podcast, doing these hard-hitting interviews, and trying to recover your image as a source of truth. And you can't recover an image of being a source of truth if you never were a source of truth in the first place. And the more people find out how much you were wrong and how much you lied, there's no coming back from that. There's no recovery. But on top of this, the FCC chair is ordering an investigation into NPR and PBS and their sponsorship practices. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr has launched an investigation into the sponsorship practices of NPR and PBS member stations, notifying the organization's leaders this week. Carr informed NPR CEO Catherine Marr and PBS CEO Paula Kerger of the probe in a letter on Wednesday, stating concerns that the stations may be violating federal law by airing what could amount to commercial advertisements. In particular, it is possible that NPR and PBS member stations are broadcasting underwriting announcements that cross the line into prohibited commercial advertisements. I'm of the belief that we should be spending no money at all on any form of media. Tax dollars should not fund media, period. I know we have like this global media agency that we fund, and the way they justify it is they're just getting the American news out to other places in the world in different languages and all these things. And I think Trump tapped Carrie Lake to head up one of those agencies. Like, she's going to be the director of, again, I don't know what it's called, the Global Media Agency or something. But I don't even necessarily support that. That's propaganda. But government involvement in any sort of media like this, it's not necessary. Tax dollars should not be going to this. I hope DOJ addresses it. This is probably just a start. Hey, we're going to investigate what you're doing here. And based on that, you know what? We're shutting you down. And he even says near it, he suggested that if taxpayer dollars were supporting a for-profit enterprise or stations airing commercial advertisements, it would further weaken the case for continued public funding of NPR and PBS. Totally on board with that. And then we got this story. Paramount weighs settlement with Trump as lawsuit entangles a merger. Days before the 2024 election, President Trump sued CBS for $10 billion after the network deceptively edited a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris. And if you remember that was such a crazy, crazy edit. And I should even find it. Oh, that'll probably take me too long. Yeah, we don't have time. But they edited she sat down for like a 60-minute interview or whatever. Yeah, 60-minute interview. And in the clip they showed, they asked her a question and they provided this answer. But then in the full context of the interview, her answer was horrible, almost making her unelectable to her own people. But they didn't show that. And it's amazing they got caught. But with Trump back in office here, back to the article, executives at CBS parents company Paramount are considering a settlement, believing it could help prevent the administration from delaying or blocking their planned multi-billion-dollar merger with Skydance. And this is on the heels, guys, of just last week, or maybe even this week. This week has felt like a year. But just this recently, Trump got $25 million from Zuckerberg and Facebook or Meta, because he sued them after he got banned off of social media and banned off of Facebook. And they settled with him and paid him $25 million. And now this, and I think recently he settled with another news agency. These news companies being forced to settle is such a good sign of some of these tides turning. And so if we can get after the funding mechanisms of some of these places and actually have, avenues to sue them when they push false information and slander people. I think I saw Elon Musk is going to be suing, I think it was Tim Walz, and who knows, he'll probably sue the news outlet that had him on, where they said he did the Nazi sign, salute, whatever, the Roman salute. More of that needs to happen. And we need more lawyers that are willing to take that up. I would love to sue Mike Rothschild and a few other people. There's people all over online, specifically another Rumble show that continues to talk shit about, oh, sorry, I said I wasn't going to swear. Won't do it again. They continue to talk BS about Badlands and me, and they're lying. I can prove they're lying. I would love to just sue them to shut them up. So we need more people. We need more of this. We need to see more. And I'm here for it. A couple more quick things. Here we got a call to violence from Hakeem Jeffries.
We are going to fight it legislatively. We are going to fight it in the courts. And we're going to fight it in the streets. We are going to
fight it in the streets. It reminds me of the video compilation from back in 2020 where, they accused Trump of this insurrection. But then if you remember the Summer of Love, you had Democrat politicians and liberal, heads of media, anchors, whatever, and even celebrities basically calling for the assassination of Trump and punching people. If they attack you, you attack back, all these things. The rhetoric that they were pushing was awful. And they accuse us of being violent and insurrectionists and a party of violence and Trump of all these things. And they're out here, calling for actual violence in the streets. We're going to fight President Trump's agenda in the streets. Again, it's could potentially be taken out of context, but this is from Rapid Response 47. This is an official government social media account, basically fighting the fake news on Twitter. So not a good look for Hakeem Jeffries. And then we got, I think this will probably be the last story, and then I'll check for anything breaking, but more some DeepSeek stuff. Okay, the AI situation. This is from Zero Hedge. Did DeepSeek use shell companies in Singapore to procure NVIDIA blacklisted chips? And I'll just read through some of this. Federal investigators are combing through trade data to determine if DeepSeek acquired or how DeepSeek required restricted chips. Bloomberg spoke with sources close to the U.S. probe, focusing on third parties in Singapore that procured the H800 chips and sold them to DeepSeek, a move that we've seen before to circumvent U.S. trade restrictions. Officials in the White House and Federal Bureau of Investigation are also trying to determine whether DeepSeek used intermediaries in Southeast Asian nation to purchase NVIDIA chips that the U.S. has banned from sale to China. So the people who requested anonymity, blah, blah, blah. In a confirmation hearing on Wednesday, Howard Lutnick, the guy's awesome, President Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Commerce Department, said NVIDIA's chips, which they bought tons of, and they found their ways around it, drive their DeepSeek model, adding, it's got to end. If they are going to compete with us, let them compete, but stop using our tools to compete with us. So I'm going to be very strong on that. Yeah, this whole AI thing, again, I'm not going to claim to know all the inner workings of it. I think AI is the future. We're in an AI arms race. Like even Badlands, we're exploring some, ways that we can utilize AI to help our research, help how we just do things. It's a tool. You can use it as a tool. But the deployment of this over the first couple of weeks of Trump's administration has been very interesting to watch. From Trump coming out with the AI infrastructure data center investment, Larry Ellison, Oracle, and OpenAI, Sam Altman, and these guys, to them being rug pulled essentially by DeepSeek, and how this all ties together. The way this unfolds and how this ultimately comes to some sort of conclusion is going to be very fun to watch in a weird way, in a nerdy way. But there is more to the story, a little bit more. Pentagon employees connected to Chinese DeepSeek servers for days before the block. So was there spying going on? Several U.S. Defense Department employees connected their work computers to Chinese servers to access DeepSeek's new AI chatbot for at least 2 days before the Pentagon shut off access, according to Bloomberg, citing a defense official familiar with the matter. The Pentagon's Defense Information Systems Agency moved to block the Chinese startup's website late Tuesday, but let's see if there's anything. Pentagon's IT experts are still determining the extent to which employees directly used it. I would say it's kind of concerning, but if we're going to do that, why would we not do the same thing with OpenAI? How do we know OpenAI isn't using the information for nefarious reasons? OpenAI admitted, I think I read the article a couple days ago, they had access to how many government officials were using their ChatGPT or whatever. And now they've launched like a government specific AI to help them do things, but I don't know if I trust it. And the government has their own AI. The military has their own AI. Why would they not just do that themselves? But who knows? Maybe OpenAI is the government's version of it, and OpenAI is just the public disclosure, just like Elon Musk and Twitter and Tesla. Who knows? But that's all the stories I had preloaded. I'm going to see if there's any other quick stories I want to cover. Yeah, nothing really breaking here. So I think we're just going to end it here. Nice 50-minute episode. Great closing to the week. It's been a fun week, action-packed week, news-packed week. Thank you guys for tuning in here. I won't be coming back to read the Rumble rants because, as I said at the beginning of the show, this was recorded about an hour and a half before you guys are watching it. So I don't have rants to read. But hit that thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. Make sure you guys are following and subscribing here on Badlands Media on Rumble or on YouTube if you're watching over there. YouTube.com/@TD Herold, Herold. You can also go to dailyherold.substack.com. Subscribe over there. Next week, we're going to be starting the newsletter or not the newsletter, the show notes. We'll send out all the links and everything that we discuss here on the show. So you'll have access to go through it yourself. And yeah, tonight we got the Liberty Den. Always a fun time. So make sure you tune in there. But yeah, other than that, see you next week. Next week, Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Have a great weekend, guys.
Let's get started. That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.